What really allowed us to be so agile in delivering this project, very quickly and with the complexity that it had was really our vRaptor and on our Commander stack. So what the vRaptor allowed us to do is, by virtue of the nature that it's built, allowed us to very quickly write drivers and integrate the systems that were on site already. They were already smart, so those were vRaptor-based integrations done in the cloud, which were done, over those 3 weeks which I spoke about. The second thing is the Commander stack, which really, without a line of code, allows you to create solutions and create UIs for visualization. So what we were very easily able to do with Commander was quickly spin up dashboards and make them available for the client to look at, but also then, based on their feedback, very quickly make changes to get them to the final state that the client required. So the virtual Raptor in this instance and the Commander stack were critical in agility and getting the solution done quickly. So if you look at delays and what typically slows down a project that we're involved in, we typically find that it's delays from the customer side more than anything, right? Often when we're doing integrations, you require information from the contractors that clients already use or from third parties, which really can slow down the process because they delay you in terms of your information access. And also a second thing is really getting the requirements better down from the client. So we initially kick off this exercise from iot.nxt perspective. We get everything noted down, everything documented and passed through the client. And typically when the client needs to review it and come back with feedback, we also see some slowness in that process. So really the slowness that we see is generally external, and to overcome those things, of course, we need to drive really good relationships with the client, really good communication, and ensure that everything is lined up before we actually kick off the project for a smoother flow within the execution itself. So one of our core philosophies is we make the complex simple, and how we actually translate that in the engagements with our customers is that we have a standardized methodology and approach of how we tackle customer engagements and projects. And what we really do is we hold our client's hands throughout that process. So in the early phases of the project, through the requirements gathering process, through the design process, we interact with the client, we actually align with them throughout that process. So by the end of it, we are all aligned in terms of what is expected and what needs to be delivered, which cuts out 90% of the complexity up front. And then of course our approach is that we continually communicate throughout the process with our client in delivering, and that really makes things a lot simpler. And I think we've really developed a good approach to do that sets us apart in the market. So in making the complex simple aligned to our philosophy, we've also tackled the sales aspect, right? And how we can make the sales cycle shorter and enable our salespeople very effectively. And we've come up with a whole toolkit of tools to be able to do that. One is the extensive training that we provide, but there's other aspects like the standardized pricing tool which we've developed. We've developed battle cards, for our salespeople to take with them and to learn. But we've also productized our solutions or packaged them very well that it's very easy for salespeople to understand them and convey that message to the client. So yeah, it's a very simple process, well packaged, well defined, and it really makes life easy for a salesperson to take it to a client and get a win. Once we've tuned into the client and really understood their needs and their requirements, then kicks off our actual internal process to deliver this project, right? And delivery process is quite simple. What we'll do is we'll take those requirements that we've defined with the client, have them signed off so that the client is comfortable. That also helps us in avoiding scope creep, in the future. We take that into our operations. We kick that off as a formal project and get everyone on board very quickly. And that step is actually very critical. We've got a very innovative project kickoff methodology that our team has developed, where all stakeholders get on board at the same time and there's no uncertainty in the process. It then will go into our delivery teams, which comprise of developers, architects, UI specialists and solution and business analysts, who will then very quickly work on that spec, translate that into the product on Commander and on the Raptor. And then of course that ends off in UAT cycles with the client, where we'll play all of these things back to the client, ensure that they are comfortable with it, be flexible to make any changes that they need, and then get sign off ultimately of that. We also then at that point like to open up the conversation for future work, because I think that's very important, because what you'll find is that the IoT projects that we embark on are not one-offs. It's there's always a phase 2, phase 3, which is really good because it ensures there's continuity in business, but also continuity continuity in terms of how the solution expands within the organization. So when you engage with the customer, it can be quite overwhelming at times because there's a breadth of use cases which you can deliver in the IoT space. Really what we go in and say, where does the device to connect, we can connect it. And that's dangerous and good in a way because it means we can do everything. But it really leaves the conversation with the client open-ended. What we've done to combat this is really come up with a selection of products which we've defined quite well. And what we then do is we tune into the customer, understand what their burning need is, and then apply or start with one use case that is aligned to that need. So, by doing that, you cut out a lot of the complexity, you cut out a lot of, thinking or boiling the ocean, and focus on one thing which you then deliver well for the customer. And we generally then roll the project out in a phased approach where we say, let's do step one, let's solve the compelling need well, and then we can move over to phase 2 and 3, which address other aspects of the solution. So that really enables us to be quite quick, get to the point very, very easily and really stop any noise in the systems that might occur. We try to rationalize the number of floors that they rent out in that building to drive their costs down.